Hi, I'm Trin, and today I'm going to be telling you a little bit about what I've been working on. For a long time now, I've been working on just examining the way history weaves itself into the present. So, the way that my family history has shaped who I am, the way I think, my fears, my strengths, my character. So I'm just continuing to do that because I need to know. But my current work aims specifically to examine the mass exodus of our people from a communist Vietnam in 1975, and the way that these events shape and bleed into present day as Vietnamese Americans are being detained and or deported alongside our neighbors from so many other countries. Um, and so just kind of looking at the way that history has repeated itself as we look at the immigration crisis, that has always been, right. This has always happened to people, and for people in a way, right, uh, to escape and then kind of recreate home. Um, so one of the questions that I am asked frequently by Vietnamese people is, why do you feel the need to constantly look into the past? And I totally understand that, especially when the people who are asking me are, many of them are the ones who have survived the war. So why do you keep having to do that? Well, from my perspective, um, for me to feel um, more love and compassion for the generations before me, I need to know what they went through, and in the ways that they fought for me. They fought for me, they fought for the freedom that I have. To be able to choose, to be able to voice my opinions and express myself in whichever manner I choose, to have a choice, and to make art as a way of life. These are all privileges that I've inherited because of these wars. And so I want to be grateful. I want to remain grateful. And so I honor these stories. Um, yeah. I've had people tell me, I wish people would stop making work about the war. It's over, get over it. And I'm like, also from Vietnamese people. And I'm like, is it really over though? I mean, the descendants of survivors of war, we are, we're still living it out, right? Like through our fears, through our behaviors, through our character, maybe our inability to trust people. Um, we're living the aftermath of it still. um, during the war in Vietnam, brother was set against brother, sister against sister, parents against their children, children against parents. And, um, so that affects the way that we might be able to trust people. And then it gets passed on to the children. So, and also, though, we've also inherited this courage as well, to stand and fight against these injustices, to stand with the people who we love, um, the survival instinct that we've inherited as well. So these things are they're born from these wars. So it's like, to say that the war has ended is false. So um, yeah. And, I've also been asked, like, is there still such thing as Vietnamese refugees? And I understand the question, but wouldn't it be lovely if we could just strip that title away, because we're now living in this country and no longer seeking land and using the stars to navigate our way to shore because we've just escaped our war-torn country? Wouldn't it be lovely to be able to strip that title away? But we it's like, it's who it's who we are. And I say we because I've inherited this. I'm not a refugee. I was born here, but I adopt these stories as if they're my own. So forgive me. I tend to do that all the time, but yeah, the stripping the label or the title of refugee from someone's history is like me saying I'm not Vietnamese. Like it's who I am, and it's what I was born into, and it's what I've experienced. So yeah, interesting questions. So that's why I do the work I do. Okay, so I've been working on this project with SJMA, the San Jose Museum of Art, San Jose Office of Cultural Affairs, and Chopsticks Alley. And it's a project called Hidden Heritages. And it's going to culminate in a show at City Hall. I'm working with Bing Yang, a photographer from San Jose. And so our aim is to bring to light the stories of Vietnamese Americans and how they've contributed to the city of San Jose. So in thinking about these things, I was asking, like, what are the things that we hide? Okay, so hidden heritages, like why would we hide these things? So it might be out of protection for ourselves or protection from others. Or protecting the thing that we're hiding, right? Like the objects that we're hiding. It might be out of fear, the fear of being judged, or out of shame that we hide these things. Or it might be in reverence. So if someone tells us something in confidence, like we would hide that thing, keep it to our hearts, out of love for them. So just thinking about why we would hide things. During the escape, I've heard so many stories about like people sewing items into the hems of their garments, like gold, like ounces of gold, paperwork, money. Oh, here we go. Okay, so this is a little blurry because these are film stills that belong to a VHS tape that belongs to Bing Yang, the photographer that I'm working with. So he was doing an artist talk, I think, and this gentleman approaches him with this VHS tape in hand and says, I've had this for years. I've not known what to do with it, and you need to have it. So Bing inherited this footage, raw footage that was captured by this gentleman. So as we were working on this project together and sharing ideas, being shared with me these stills. And so here's these two people that are pulling apart a flip-flop. And inside of that flip-flop, they pull out these $100 bills. And they're like American bills, which is fascinating. It's like how they had to plan this, right? So money got sent to Vietnam to prepare for the escape. And so I just was thinking about like these hidden objects, right? Like in preparation, maybe we need to hide things as we prepare for something greater, or something dangerous or life-threatening. So thinking about these valuable objects that we would keep hidden or keep safe, right? So I've inherited so many of those. So for those of you who know my work, there's so much stuff that I use. Okay, so one of the things, I have my notes here for y'all, is like letters that Benoit had given me. Well, yes, she gave them to me. But look at this, like these old envelopes. She was in her room tearing these letters up. Page 97. It's crazy, right? That's like page 97. One-sided, written on only one side. So she was tearing these up because and throwing them away in the trash because they were private. She was like, these are personal letters. And I promised her I wouldn't read them if she gave them to me because it's like history. So there they are, like tattered. She was like throwing them away. So This is one of the things I've inherited. Okay, I inherited her rosary collection. She had like a gazillion rosaries. And there was a bag she had with all of these little crosses from the rosaries. Like she threw the beads away when they'd break. Like there's like a Jesus missing on that one. But she just couldn't get herself to throw away the little crosses. So I kept them and I framed them. And this hangs above our bed. But aren't those beautiful? Bông Hoai's collection. Admired her. Here's another missing Jesus. I love these wooden beads. I think she got this when she went to Jerusalem. She always had, here's another one. I love this one. They're plastic beads, but they're like translucent, which is really cool. Still trying to figure out like what to do with these. Her name is Kim Jantik. Kim Chun is her name, which I always thought was cool because Kim is also like an American or English name. Here's like little milagros, or it came in this little pocket. So these are the things that I've inherited. Okay, so IDs. Her Vietnam ID. I remade it. This is Gobert's typewriter that she gave to me. This thing is so heavy, and she used to bring this to school with her. Bông Hoai made her a denim bag to carry it around campus. I was like, what in the world? She did it. So this is a sewing box that this is hers. She gave that to me. I use her needles. So here's a sewing kit that she gave to me. The things that I use, it's not just the materials that I use, but it's also the tools. It's all important. Here's another little sewing kit. This is a mini, like a little hammer that Bathian, I inherited from Bathian, and I use this to install my little tea bags, my Begins with Tea project. So the tools are just as important. This is my late cousin B, her embroidery floss collection that I inherited that I'm also using in it. So I'm just showing you materials right now. Okay, so that's my family side. My beloved Hien, his family side. I've shown this quite a lot of times, but these are his father's release papers from the re-education camp where he was imprisoned for several years. These are Hien's paperwork. And these are copies. I made copies of them and I stained them. You can kind of see the stain. I stained them with tea that was harvested in Vietnam. Thank you, Yvonne, for that. So the garments that I'm working on. I was thinking about these hidden things and, also inherited. This is Bông Hoai's sewing patterns for a jacket. There's her handwritten notes jacket. And here's like more of her writing. Vest and a little arrow. Vai is shoulder. So the shoulder of the vest. So I used these patterns to make this jacket out of chiffon. And I decided to use this translucent fabric so that we could reveal the things hidden underneath. So during the escape, many people sewed their valuable items into the hems of their garments. So I thought, what if we could see these hidden things? Like, that's essentially what I do with my work. I'm trying to share these stories and reveal these hidden secrets, maybe, or maybe not secrets. Maybe they're just stories that people haven't had a chance to tell or feel like people might not want to hear. But it's about revealing the things unseen. So, oh my God, I love this so much. So here's some of the text. I'm using Colbert's typewriter to make these garments, and this particular jacket I made using Bông Ngoai's sewing pattern. And also, so I promised Bông Ngoai I wouldn't read those letters. So I'm trying to figure out creative ways to actually share them without like reading them. I mean, like in a whole. I found that there's like kind of like a loophole where if I pull, just like if I spot a phrase, I can just kind of share that phrase and it won't be given any context. So the context of the letter would remain hidden, even though I'm exposing certain words. so I'm kind of excited about that because it brings meaning to the work. So here's these little tags for each of the garments that I made. And you can see the type there. It says made in Vietnam. And then underneath there's fragments of her hidden letters. So I'm using my own garments and Hyun's garments to create patterns to make these. So I've incorporated family photos. So there's Bác Cô, Bông Ngoai, and then Bông Ngoai's 10 children. There's some more text there. And then here in the pocket is, again, copies of Hyun's paperwork. Stained in tea. So I'm including these documents in the hem. Well, they're not in the hems, but they're in the pockets, letters that are sewn into the hems. And it just takes me so long. Like chiffon is a really tricky material. Like it's super slippery and doesn't really behave well. But I needed to use it because of the sheer quality. It's so I'm learning and I don't sew. So I'm really excited to learn how to do that just by trial and error. Yeah. And I love the chiffon because it's so delicate. So yeah, it can be difficult to hear our own voice amid the noise of the world, or even to hear our own voices, true voices, amid the other noise in our own minds. So a lot of the writing that I do, and I did this also in the quiet installation, is I'm rewriting letters from specific people. So some of the participants that we've worked with for the Hidden Heritages workshops, I'm rewriting some of the letters they wrote. But I'm also like free association writing, which is really cool because it's like so therapeutic. And so some of the stuff I'm writing is like scripture and specific scriptures that speak about sanctuary cities, about the oppressed, about the protection of those who are oppressed, about loving the poor and the widows and the orphans and loving our neighbors as ourselves. Yeah, so a lot of rewritten letters, scripture, and also like just my own musings as I'm working through this. So what happens is as I keep typing, I'm formalizing my thoughts about the work that I'm doing to help me better understand like what this means. So it's very useful. So I love this part. It's a little clasp. So I used these embroidery floss for that. This green. And then I made a little bra tag. So on this one I wrote, made in Harrisburg, Vietnam. And then made in Saigon, Pennsylvania. That's where I was born, Harrisburg. And then in it is, again, this pink, it's Bang Wai's. Oh, that light is weird. It's Bang Wai's letters. So in all of the tags are Bang Wai's letters, fragments of them anyway. Sometimes the mediums that I use, like these colorful threads, Bang Wai's colorful threads, they kind of like help distract from the weight of the story, right? So like even the fabric, it's like, yeah, there's something about that, right? The way that the materials can kind of help alleviate that weight and that burden, the burden of like, am I honoring them the way that I potentially could? And will people understand this, specifically the ones I'm making the work in prayer for? Am I working fast enough or effectively? So all of these burdens are like, they're weighty. And so working with my hands and figuring these things out, and this is kind of an engineering feat, so it kind of helps me shift from my like right brain to left and back to right, and it's just this dance that I really enjoy. So I'm totally over time. Thank you. Yeah, if you have any questions, email me. You can contact me through my website. Thank you. Bye.